Hey guys, it's Nick. Thanks for tuning into Long Island Wargaming for a quick battle report. And this is going to be myself versus Rich, and we're going to be doing 1,000 points. This is actually, we rolled up a quick scenario. We ended up getting Blood and Glory, which is cool. And this is a modified list for the Ogre Kingdoms also, just because Rich gave me extra points in my hero slot, which allowed me to bring both a Fire Belly and a BSB. And he gave me some extra points there. So it's a modified list, but no matter what would have happened, the outcome would have been the same as we agreed at the end, so I hope you guys enjoy this one. So the terrain setup is a little interesting. We have Altar Arcane right there, which creates Frenzy, I believe, building, regular hill, and then a hero something or another building. It essentially gives everyone stubborn within 6 inches, which is crazy. So Rich really lucked out here with some interesting terrain. He was smart not to have the demigryphs go around the other way, which was what he was going to do initially when he placed up. He was going to have it go around the tower, but if he did, I was just going to take my Saber Tusk and just bait him around, which would have been plenty fun. So we both have 4 Fortitude. I've got my General, a Banner, and a BSB, and he also has the same. He has some Warrior Priests, BSB also. Big brick of I think they're Spearmen, if I remember correctly, with the detachment of Free Company, the 3 Demigryph, the Hurricanum, 10 great swords or 11 great swords with the hero in there. So, and then also on the far side we have a dwarf cannon commandeered by some Empire gunmen, which are probably going to try to take some flank shots down any of my lines of ogres. So that'll not be fun. A closer look at the way Rich is set up. He just has his flanks covered by the building, which is interesting. Everyone's got the coverage of +1 to hit. At first, I had no idea what was going on with the demigryphs, but that will be explained in a few rounds. And yeah, so on to mine. The Saber Tusk, 2 units of Lead Belchers, bunch of bulls. I've got a Fire Belly in there with a great weapon and some other stuff, and then I've got the BSB with the Hellheart, I believe it's called. It's a banner that does breath weapon, and then if they get hit, always strike first, and then a whole bunch of rerolls on ones to hit, to wound, and armor saves in close combat. With the +1 to go first, I move my ogres forward after winning the first round, and I'm going to try to cast some magic and do some shooting. A fireball kills a handful of the great swordsmen, and that's the general right there with the blue shield, so Rich is going to have to try to figure out another way to protect him, because he's worth 2 fortitude. If I kill him, I'll be in good shape. So in the Empire turn, I can go ahead and show you what was going on with the demigryphs. Rich goes to reform, but for his horde, he actually fails his swift reform roll twice. So he was going to reform like this, but move back 2 inches, which would have given enough room for the demigryph to come in on a flank charge, which is pretty smart because he moved the general into the brick of spearmen with the BSB and the unit banner. So really, all of his points are right there. So I'm all in on this unit, so I got to make sure I kill all of them to get all the fortitude points. But still pretty clever nonetheless, but unfortunately leadership works against him. Great swords went into the building. So I needed a 4 to get into my charge, and I went ahead and did that. Also note, you don't see in this picture, but the Saber Tusk is running down the cannon as quickly as he can. The Lead Belchers also went in on the swordsman. I thought it would be real easy combat, and I also forgot that the K-Knight Tower was there, so his swordsmen actually get frenzied, so it's going to be a little bit messy. And there's a support charge made by the Free Company, which actually be kind of nasty because that's 10 attacks sitting there, so, or 6 attacks because there's 6 guys. And I don't play against Empire enough because me and Rich don't play too often, but it's also be pretty devastating if he gets off any of his magic, which he will proceed to do. He actually will get the ward save off in this combat a couple times, which is annoying. Oh, there's a Saber Tusk, and he's on his way. So I did pretty decent here. You can see there's pretty much a rank, and mostly the 3rd rank too. So almost looks like 18 guys were peeled off. Rich did have the ward save up, but I did need to get into combat and try to smash him up. Maybe I should have waited, which will be something I'll discuss at the end of the video. But I do run in, kill as many guys as possible, which is great. But the ward save, he saved so many of them. I also got to use that breath weapon attack, so he's going to have always strike last in subsequent rounds. But he focused down the Fire Belly, which was the smartest move he could have made, because once he got to his initiative, which I believe was 2, I would have gotten off 2 D6 strength 4 hits, which would have been great against trying to really grind this unit down. He would have lost steadfast after losing all the guys. I would be in a good situation to knocking out all of his breakpoints. But unfortunately, he took like 16 attacks or however he was able to do it, and kind of killed the fire belly. So his general, which is on the corner there in the blue, he had no problem being able to do that because you know, he had a couple attacks, but yeah, not fun. And I ended up having to back up here. I took 5 wounds altogether, which really sucked. My ogres. Bulls aren't that great, or bull stat line. Maybe I should have just chilled out with them, but I was kind of hoping to rush in there. I forgot about the frenzied attacks. So I technically would have killed a bunch of guys, but only had 3 attacks back at me, but instead it was 6. Since each guy had 2 attacks and there's a champion in there, so it was 7. But I was kind of hoping to get in there and be able to shoot with those guys and be annoying, but no cigar. So here's some Empire movement. Rich goes ahead and reforms the Demigryphs because he's not going to be able to squeeze them in there. And during Magic, he is able to successfully get off the ward save in close combat, which I really tried really hard to dispel. Really sucks that he got it off again. And he was also able to get off, I believe, reroll missed hits, which is a different ability that the Warrior Priest has. 10 shots from the Grape Shot get off, and my Saber Tusk bites it. And then this happens. Rich rolled so many 5s and 6s. It was absurd. I believe he rolled about 10. He saved about 10 guys, which really was ridiculous. And I'm left with just my BSB and 2 of the bulls. So even though he had always strike last, the fact that he was able to save so many guys really helped him out here. And yeah, it was quite a mess. With that said, my unit breaks and runs, and he runs me down. And when they die, essentially, he gets my kill points, or he gets to my breaking point, and that's it. It's game over. So it was really an all-in against the 2 units that we had. The fact that my Fire Belly died really sucked. But the Warrior Priests were able to too. I think he had 2 Warrior Priests in there. Were really able to help buff that unit to the point where I couldn't do anything. And then the +1 to hit from the Hurricaneum was so annoying. He was doing so well against my guys. And Bull stat line isn't that great, but the fact that I had the heroes in there and the reroll ones for hits, wounds, and armor saves was useful. But yeah, oh well. Definitely a fun game. Rich got this one. But I just want to talk briefly about what I should have done in my second turn. So when we get to this point right here, this is my turn too. I don't want to get shot by cannons. I really don't have to worry about any shooting besides the cannon, but my guys need to get into combat, and I need to charge to be able to take advantage of that breath weapon attack. So what I thought about this afterwards. Essentially, if I had marched these guys up full, I could have used the Fire Belly's breath weapon and the BSB's breath weapon, which would have killed a whole bunch more of guys, and there would have been no ward save because that ward save is only in close combat. And then I was thinking, well, then I wouldn't be able to take advantage of the always strike last, but I would have, because then he would have charged me, and then he would have had always strike last. But the only thing is then I would not have been able to take advantage of the reroll ones to hit, wound, and armor save, because that's only when you successfully charge. But those 2 breath weapons doing enough damage would have been pretty helpful, and then I would have been able to get my lead belchers up a little bit closer for a flank charge to maybe deal with the free company or maybe shoot them. But I think that's where I lost this game. I probably should have done that, just move them up. And then sacrifice the rerolls and the impact hits. But it's impossible to say that it would have made any difference, but I think that's the point where I made an error. But you know what? I could have gone ahead and rolled a 10 on my charge and got, a handful more impact hits, and maybe he wouldn't have gotten so lucky in his magic phases. So, but I would have been able to dispel the ward save a little bit better if the Fire Belly was alive. So that's that. Hope you guys enjoyed this quick battle report, and see you in the next one.